What's going on YouTube? This is I think the 10th or 11th video in the Transfer Talk series, and it's on to Manchester United, and there's been a lot of rumours regarding these. I think everyone with half a footballing brain knows that Manchester United need to strengthen the defence, at least get one centre back in there who's a real leader, and can dominate and lead from the back. In my opinion, Rooney is not a proper captain. Although he's done decently well there, I don't think he's got the temperament to be a captain. He does seem to have calmed down a little bit this season with that responsibility, but I think you need a few more leaders in that team. I've got to admit. Looking at it, it's very top heavy. You know, you got the likes of Falcao, Rooney, Di Maria, Van Persie up front, and then you got people like Massa as well on the bench. Michael Carrick, who's a good midfielder, you know, very underrated player. Can sit back and dictate the tempo of the game a little bit like Paul Scholes. You know, he's not the biggest workhorse in the world, which is why it's ideal to have someone like Wayne Rooney who will run all day for you beside him. But yeah, the main problem is the defence. You know, you've got 5 centre backs, and I don't think Van Gaal knows himself which of his best. Phil Jones probably would be in there. Daley Blind, he's a centre mid, but he has played in that centre back role for Manchester United. Then you got Johnny Evans, who's unconvincing to me, particularly when there's no real leader beside him. When he had Vidic or Ferdinand next to him, he did play well, and he seemed to thrive in that. But he's struggling not having that leadership with him, and I think that the back 3 formation, it doesn't really sit too comfortable with him as well. You got players like Rojo who can come in and do a job at left back, centre back. He's had a lot of injury worries. He probably would be in the starting 11 if he was fit and could keep that fitness up consistently. Chris Smalling as well, who again, he looked like a world beater at one point when he was playing for Manchester United, besides a Vidic or Ferdinand. But again, he's just really tailed off. Whether it's the pressure of playing for Manchester United, I'm not too sure. Of course, there will be players going out by the looks of it this January. You've brought in Victor Valdez as reserve keeper, and Van Gaal has come out and said Andreas Lindegaard will be going at some point, whether it be this January window or in the summer. So it looks like he's going to be going. Someone who didn't really fulfill his potential when he came to the club, didn't really get a run in the team. Another one that looks like he's going to be on his way is Darren Fletcher. You know, he's been there for years and years now, and he was a very good player in his day. Obviously, he had that illness where he was out for pretty much a season. And it was a shame because he's a very good player in his day. He has tailed off a bit, and there has been a lot of interest in Premier League clubs, to be honest, with West Ham, I think West Brom as well, even Sunderland looking at him for that experience. And he's someone who probably could do a job still for one of those teams, but Manchester United level, I'm not so sure. Van Gaal is very ruthless with his transfer policy, so it doesn't look like he's going to be at the club for much longer. Another one I just want to quickly talk about is Januzaj as well. Van Gaal has reportedly came out and said, or has mentioned among the Manchester United backroom staff, that he wants to get rid of Adnan Januzaj, that he's not good enough. He showed a lot of promise under David Moyes last season, and I do think the kid's got ability. Maybe his final ball lets him down at times, and maybe a loan move would be the best thing for him. You know, he's still only a very young lad, 19 years of age, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. He just needs game time, competitive game time, and if he went out on loan either to a Premier League club where he's going to get game time, or potentially abroad, I think that would be a good move for both parties. So yeah, it looks like he might be out. He hasn't really played enough games for Manchester United. So now, with players that you've been linked with, and you might be surprised, not be too surprised that Van Gaal's still interested in trying to boost his attacking options. The big rumour with Madrid and David De Gea, that De Gea could be leaving for Real Madrid, either now or at the end of the season. He's only got 18 months left on his contract. I know Manchester United are keen to try and keep him on at Old Trafford, but if push comes to shove and De Gea wants to go, then it could potentially be Bale coming the other way. Bale himself has rubbished those rumours. However, it would be nice to see him back in the Premier League, and what an attack force it would be then with Bale, Di Maria, Rooney, Van Persie, Falcao potentially if he stays. So should Man U keep him? You got Valdez sitting on the bench. He has been very, very good this year, and he's still only very young, particularly for a keeper. So it'll be interesting to see what develops with him. I don't think he'll go this January, I've got to admit, but in the summer, De Gea could be on his way to Spain. Mentioned before that centre backs were needed in this team. One I think is mentioned quite a lot with a link to the Premier League. It's Mats Hummels. Fantastic defender. I don't think he'd have any problem adapting to the Premier League. Just come off at the back of winning a World Cup with Germany, where he was the main centre back. Mertesacker was beside him most of the time, and he didn't look convincing. But this guy really did. He's a big boy. He's very physical, and that's why I don't think he will have a problem adapting to the Premier League. He's also a leader from the back. I spoke about it a bit earlier. Really doesn't convince me, and if you look at that back five and even on the bench with Rojo, Smalling, Blackett, there's no real convincing leader there. So if you put Mats Hummels in the middle of those three, that for me looks a much more settled back three or a back five, just with him in there. And then if you look at that spawn of the team, then with De Gea, Hummels, Rooney, Carrick, Di Maria, and then the two up front, it's massive, a massive thing to have that leader in your back four. Another one you've been linked with might be a little bit more realistic is the young lad from Atletico Bilbao, Laporte, I think you pronounce it. They say he's only a young lad, 20 years of age, I believe. Not the most experienced in the world, which I think he will need, but he definitely one for the future. And he's definitely proven his worth in Spain as well. He's played really, really well this year. He's got good defensive brain. Watched a few clips on him. He's not a slouch either. He's pretty quick for a lanky boy. So it could be a good signing. Even if you got both of them in there, and maybe to substitute Blind and move Blind into midfield just to give a little bit more cover, particularly when Darren Fletcher goes. I think that's a team that could quite comfortably get top four and probably should get top four. You've got a good manager in there as well. Who's, as I say, very ruthless when it comes to trying to sign players and things. And just quickly as well, I just want to move on to Falcao quickly. It's a £40 million fee for him to stay at Manchester United at the end of the season. I don't think he's shown enough for me. He hasn't scored enough goals. He's got a few, a couple of important headers, and one at Villa. And I think he got one the week after. I can't quite remember who it was against pretty recently. But I don't think he's done it at all. I'd want more for £40 million. He's not a young boy either. Potentially past his peak. He did very well at Atletico Madrid. Bit of a waste going to Monaco in my opinion. Probably money persuaded him to go there. So I don't know whether Falcao should stay. If he went, I'd definitely be looking at just getting another striker in. I know Van Gaal's give James Wilson a little bit of a go. This year, one matter as well, he's not reached the heights he was at Chelsea. He's got a little bit better this season. He was kind of like a rush signing, in my opinion. And one last player you have been linked with, you're kind of in a battle with Chelsea to sign him, is Cuadrado. As I mentioned, Chelsea and United are really trying to battle more than anything over him. And again, it might not be a bad move. I don't think it's a position you necessarily need to strengthen. You've got Valencia, particularly if you play with the five at the back and the wing backs. I assume he would play on the wing. You've got people like Valencia, Ashley Young, Luke Shaw, Raphael. It's not necessarily a position, in my opinion, that Manchester United needs to strengthen. But it would be an exciting signing. I would like to see him in the Premier League. You literally just have to wait and see. I'm sure Manchester United will sign somebody before the end of this window. A lot of money has been available to Van Gaal to spend, so it really wouldn't surprise me if you went and got a few, potentially even on deadline day. I know they've done their business under Ferguson like that before. Obviously, you got a new few members of the board, and it's not the same under Ferguson with was it Gil going as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if Manchester United can get anyone in this window. That's it for this episode. Next up is Newcastle. If you enjoyed the content, if you agree with the content, please do drop it a like. If you can share it for your friends as well, that would be amazing. I'll get back to all of the comments that you leave. I'll be sure to do that. So yeah, thank you once again for watching, and it's Newcastle next.